I decided to go into Grand Central, Flatiron District, and Union Square with a sign that said, Software Developer for Hire.
Hey, welcome back to my channel. So this video is a little bit different from my typical videos. In this video, I'm going to be interviewing one of my really good friends, Jhilene, who's currently a software engineer at Microsoft. She doesn't have a CS degree. She did not do bootcamp. She is completely self-taught. In this video, she'll be sharing a lot of her wisdom and things that she wished that she did differently during her journey. I feel like her story really highlights the importance of dedication, hard work, and really believing in yourself. If you like this video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, tap that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments, what do you think about this video? Who would you like to see me interview next? And I hope you enjoy.
Hey everybody, my name is Jhilene. I'm from New York. I am a software developer here at Microsoft. And I've been here as a full-time software engineer about 7 weeks now.
Maybe you can tell everyone, what was your first introduction to computer science? Like, what made you interested in programming?
During my sophomore year in college. So I was in Intro to Psych, and my teacher played a new video about a new major called Digital Forensics. And they played the promo, and it was about basically working for the government doing white hat hacking. And I got really excited about that because I used to watch lots of movies about, catching the bad guys type of stuff. So I thought it was really cool. Unfortunately, the major wouldn't start until my senior year of college. So I just went online. I went on Google and I Googled how to be a white hat hacker or something like that. And it came up with, WikiHow came up with start with Python, then learn C, that sort of thing. And then another website called Evil Zone, so the same thing. So I started with basically those recommendations. And that was in, I would say, December 2015 is when I wrote my first line of code. And then in my senior year in 2016, I started, writing more and more code with Code Academy and learned Python the hard way.
What did you major in college? You kind of got into this your senior year, kind of before, you could actually make this your major.
Yeah, so I actually majored in globalization, which had nothing to do with computer science. It was more like economics and how cultures impact one another. And then I also minored in cybersecurity, but there were no programming classes. It was all theoretical stuff.
So after you decided that, your senior year, you wanted to take these classes to become a white hacker, is that what you called it?
White hat hacker.
White hat hacker. Okay. I've been watching Mr. Robot, so I'm I'm getting into that stuff. What is a white hat hacker?
White hat hackers are the good people.
Okay.
They don't do credit cards or anything.
Okay, they're just or you usually find them in organizations, maybe like the FBI trying to help out, or they're just independent?
Yeah. So the main reason I got into it was because I always had a passion where I wanted to work, and I would watch shows about like little kids getting kidnapped and put into trafficking, and then that was pretty much my main drive. And the people who save those kids from the dark web, those are white hat hackers. So that's the main thing that drew me.
Awesome. So it was about being altruistic and kind of helping people. That's why you wanted to do it. That's awesome.
Catching bad guys. That was the thing.
So after you decided, you graduated with college with globalization major, minor in cybersecurity with a bunch of classes. What was your next step?
So I researched online. There was a school called Hacker School, but it was renamed to the Recurse Center. And, I was reading all these articles online about, get into tech in 3 months and all those different things. And I already graduated with student loans, and I didn't want to take on more loan debt. And Recurse Center, it drew me a lot because it was originally called Hacker School, and it was free. It was 3 months. It was a retreat. So it's not a boot camp. It's it's self-directed, but it's 3 months. You get to work on, you have to know how to code to get in, but once you're in, you work on different projects. You're in an environment with people who've been in the industry for many years, from 2 years to 20, 30 years. And, you're just immersed. It's full immersion. So I knew I wanted to do that program. And I actually got in on my first attempt.
Which is
I got
amazing.
accepted from their mentorship program, so I was really nervous at first if I would get in, but I did get in into the retreat program. And yeah, and they gave me a grant also to attend it just so that I could live closer and attend for the 3 months. So that's what I did.
Awesome. That's really awesome. So maybe you can tell us about like your experience at Recurse Center. That's actually how we know each other. So this is not a random coincidence. That's how we know each other. Jhilene was like literally one of the most supportive people to me like at Recurse Center. But I want to hear about your Recurse Center experience. And can you also tell us like when were you at Recurse Center too?
Okay, so I was at Recurse Center in late 2016. I guess that was like fall of the fall batch. And I was the least experienced person in my whole batch. But I made so many friends there.
Yeah.
And I built really great projects. Like my first week was super overwhelming because I literally did not know anyone in tech really. I knew a few people from like a hackathon that I did, and a few meetups, but like this is my first time like in the tech world, and everyone was so smart. So I had all these goals. I'm going to build like this project, that project, and I'd only been programming for a few months at that time. So yeah, it was a really eye-opening experience. Basically, it was from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, coding on whatever you want to code on, and studying algorithms. A few times I did those, but at the time I wasn't that deep into it.
Okay, so your experience there was a lot about like networking, building up your skills. Maybe you could talk a little bit about like if you enjoyed that experience, if you thought it was valuable.
Yeah, it was absolutely valuable because it gave me a network of people that I leveraged later on in terms of like getting referrals for different jobs and just seeing what was possible. I didn't know about DevOps. I didn't know front. Well, yeah, I think I knew backend, but there's just so many different parts of tech that I learned about there. It's talking to people and seeing what avenues they took. I met lots of people who took the traditional route, or other people who were completely non-traditional, and that was valuable. And then also having resume prep there, and advice for getting jobs and stuff, that was helpful. So right after that, so it moved into the next year, and right after that I didn't start my job hunt right away. I actually went abroad for 2 months, and then I came back. And then right when I
Where
came
did you
back,
go? Where did you go? You can't let us know where you went.
well, I went to Ecuador for 2 months. So I was an assistant teacher for the English teacher. So when I came back, I started doing algorithms and data structures. And I think I gave it like 5 weeks before I was like, all right, I'm going to start job hunting now.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, so I did that. Maybe I feel like I jumped into it a little too hastily, because when I started putting out my applications, I was like, I just thought, okay, well, it's going to be really easy, for me to hear back from all these companies. I did RC, there's a shortage in tech. The internet said it takes 3 months.
Yeah.
So I was like sending out all my resume to different places, and I was still studying algorithms on the side, learning the fundamentals. But if you've done algorithms and data structures before, you know that it's not going to take you 5 weeks to master, how to be good and strong at these. And then I had also reached out to RC Recurse Center, but at the time they told me that they weren't able to refer me to different companies because my projects were rudimentary. So I basically spent my time building projects, doing more tutorials, studying algorithms and data structures, and then I was working as an admin assistant for a wellness center at the same time. And this was a very long journey. I think it was about a year and a half of doing this.
Okay.
And right when I was going to give up, because I was studying, because I was like, all right, I want to work in cybersecurity. Maybe I can take the route where you get your A plus, the IT route, you get your A plus and your network, and then you can make a lateral move, like, make your way up to cloud in DevOps, and then make a lateral move into software engineering, being able to have both skill sets at the same time. But then I got an offer from my first apprenticeship, Sparkbox, and that was amazing.
Okay.
So I did, yeah.
I've never heard of Sparkbox. Maybe you can like explain like what they are, like what they focus on. Okay.
All right, so Sparkbox is a web development company in Dayton, Ohio. And
oh, wow.
yeah, and during my time there, I was an apprentice, and I had applied the year before, and I made it down to like the bottom 5 or whatever, and I got rejected. But then I applied like the next year again, and I got it, and I made it down all the way. And I worked on, it was very test-driven development focused, lots of object-oriented programming, writing clean code. I feel like it's like one of the best companies in the world. Like they were so supportive. They wanted us to learn things really well. They wanted us to succeed. They invited us into their homes. Like I spent time with different families. Like the company Sparkbox was just absolutely amazing. So they're small. I think they only had about 45 employees.
Wow.
But they've been doing the apprenticeship for years, for a very long time, because they believe in, taking people like me with a non-traditional background into the industry.
Maybe you can talk about like the technical skills you built like at Sparkbox.
Yeah, the technical skills I built were, I didn't know HTML and CSS got so deep, but it was following best practices for front end. And then we worked on Node.js for backend. So they had us, during our last 2 months, we were building like full stack applications. And so, yeah, it was Node.js. It was using APIs. It was front end, CSS, SAS, HTML.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are the technologies we used.
Does the program like feed you into a job?
Actually, my situation was really unique because, so even though, okay, so like during the entire apprenticeship, I was like operating on like 75% of my capabilities, because the whole time I was sick with I didn't know at the time, but I was going through some type of chronic condition. And, towards the end of it, I had to leave a month early and fly back to New York so that I could figure out what was going on with my health. Wow. But throughout the whole time, they were like really supportive with me. And the goal is to funnel some of the apprentices into full-time employment. But I had already made up the intention that, okay, I was going to go back home. However, they have sister companies in the area that, wanted to take me on and, to interview me. And so none of their apprentices leave without employment.
That's amazing.
Make sure that they're absolutely amazing. Like they make sure that, they're helping you the entire way. Even when I got back to New York, they had me in a whole Slack group, and, they were sending me different referrals and that sort of thing. And if I had gone back to Dayton, Ohio, I would have most likely been employed. But I was just so focused on figuring out, okay, what's going on with my health before I could. But I was applying to lots and lots and lots and lots of jobs, like all over the place, especially in New York. Mm-hmm. But I was still kind of receiving rejections while I was looking for what's going on with me. So I flew back to New York, and I had to work part-time. I went back to my old job. I was working part-time because I didn't have health insurance too. So I had to pay for all those medical bills like in cash. So I was working part-time. I was applying for jobs, and so I was working part-time, applying for jobs, and also going to different doctor's appointments. Mm-hmm. And then at some point in like September, I think, towards a few months after my apprenticeship, I got a diagnosis, and then I got treated for that. So then, my health started to come back. It's still not where it's not still at 100%, but I'm 90% of, old me. So I was applying for jobs, and I was still getting rejections. And at this point I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I have a whole apprenticeship now. I have amazing projects. I I got more interviews. Like, I got 5, which is better than, what I was getting before.
Mm-hmm.
But some part of me was just like, all right, at this point, I wasn't totally distraught because the hardest part of my life had just kind of passed. So I
Yeah.
was hopeful, and I wasn't where I was mentally the year before because I had just gone through something that changed my life forever, but also made me really grateful for good health.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, so then I think I saw something online, and I saw a guy like handing out his resume in like California on the street. So
Mm-hmm.
I told my friend, I think I'm going to try to do that.
Oh,
So
I think I saw that
I
too. That the article about that. Whatever it
yeah.
takes.
So basically, I think, oh yeah, October 15th and 17th of 2019, I went, I printed out like 60 resumes, and I had to sign. And, my friends were like egging me on. And I decided to go into Grand Central, Flatiron District, and Union Square with a sign that said, software developer for hire.
Wow, damn, girl.
I know.
That's
I was literally
insane.
shaking when I was in Grand Central.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really great experience. Like I was getting lots of like thumbs up, and
Mm-hmm.
I was on social media. And I would say at this point, during like October, November, December, that's when a lot of teams are having like hiring freezes. So I got like lots of emails, and people did get back to me, but a lot of them were like, okay, well, we can start interviewing you again in the new year. Or there were a few that I did get to do interviews, so it actually kind of worked out in a way.
Awesome.
So some of my interviews were going on into the next year, when 2 applications that I had submitted the traditional way, which
Yeah.
was off leave, I had done in November, and LinkedIn Reach.
Okay. You applied to
So
both of those programs, right?
yeah,
And then you also the jobs you got from. So like I'm actually curious. So how many job like offers or like not offers, but how many like interview processes were you able to get into by handing out your resume? I'm always like curious about that.
like 15.
Wow. Okay. That's actually
Yeah,
not bad, honestly. That might be a higher rate than like, I don't know how many, like, what do you call it, resumes you handed out, but that could be a higher rate
it
than
was
even
worth
applying
it. It was
online.
worth it.
It
Yeah,
was
it was
worth
worth it
it?
too.
Okay.
Yeah, because even some of the like one person, they saw me and they were like, "Well, we can't give you a job now, but come into our office like every 2 weeks
Wow.
or whatever, and then by the summer, you'll be able to. We'll bring you on, but we'll like dip your feet in and train you, kind of."
Wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I
Okay.
know. No, yeah, there were. I met some really great people. Um, but right in the midst of my interviews, I heard back from LinkedIn Reach and Microsoft Leap. And those are both apprenticeship programs. So I remember so basically LinkedIn Reach, I made it through from their interviews, and they flew me into California to their Sunnyvale office. And on my flight there, I got an email, and it was from Microsoft Leap. And I also got accepted into that program too from the interviews that I did.
Wow.
So
Okay.
basically, yeah, that
That's
was just like,
awesome. Yeah.
so
That is
I was just,
amazing.
oh, I
Yeah.
know. I basically had 3 weeks to prepare to like, basically, get ready to move to Washington State
Yeah.
for the Microsoft Leap program.
That's awesome. Could you talk about like the interview processes of like both of those programs, just in case anyone's like interested in applying, they can just get like some tips about how to succeed in those interviews?
Yeah. Oh man, this is interesting. Okay, so let's see. So with LinkedIn, so for both of them, we'll take LinkedIn Reach first because whenever they open their portal, it only stays open for about an hour because so many people
Wow.
apply.
Okay. It's a great program. I've
How many?
honestly been like, I was looking at that too. Yeah, it's an
Yeah,
amazing
like a lot
program.
of people. Yeah, like the year before, I had applied and I missed it by like 10 minutes,
Wow.
because it closed in less than an hour. But then this year they said they're going to keep it open for 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
I had
so
applied. I'd already pre-written my story, and I had put my whole heart into it because at this point I had been through like so many different things with my job hunt, and I guess it
yeah.
really resonated with them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I had to do that, and I think I had to do no, yeah, okay, so yeah, so for LinkedIn Reach, it was just written application, and then before you get there, they give you a project to write, and
Mm-hmm.
then when you get onto the on-site, they make you walk through the project about what you built for them. So that was for
Awesome.
that one.
Okay.
And then Microsoft Leap is similar, where you're given essay questions that you have to write. And for Microsoft Leap, I had applied at least 5 times.
Oh,
So
wow.
it missed a few times.
Mm-hmm. Damn, girl, you
And
persistent.
and I had only made it to the interview stage one time of those 5 times. But the interviews are pretty random. You'll get anywhere from a math problem to implementing a binary tree type question to just reversing a string or palindrome, which are a lot easier than, reversing a linked list
Okay,
or
so
doing a
like,
graph question. So it's all based off of who interviewed you.
why did you choose
So,
this, like Microsoft Leap specifically? Like, what about the program made you want to do it really badly and apply so many times for it?
um, because I feel like it was made for people like me, which is people who are coming from completely different backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
uh, not majoring in computer science. And also because they have so many cohorts a year, about at least 4 a year, it was easy to, I mean, they close their portal really fast. Like they'll have it open for 2 days and then close it. The times that I did catch it, I was able to apply to it. And it's Microsoft.
Yeah.
I was definitely going to apply. It's,
Uh-huh.
great company. And also they paid really well, like $40 an hour, which was
Wow, that's
what I ever got
amazing.
paid was 17.50.
Yeah.
So that was a huge jump.
Exactly. That's amazing for an apprenticeship
Yeah.
too, where they're basically teaching you like everything, right? That's awesome. So like how was that
Mm-hmm.
program? Like when you were in it, like did you get to form a community? Like how was the program for you?
Oh man, it was really amazing. So I flew to Washington and I started at Microsoft the first week that COVID shutdowns happened. So
Wow.
yeah, I got really lucky. I made it through like this close.
Yeah.
Um, so I was there for 3 days on campus before they told us that everything is going to be shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but it was still pretty smooth because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of I used Microsoft Teams. A lot of
Okay.
the processes operated through Microsoft Teams. I SSH'd into I had my laptop, but I SSH'd into my more powerful computer that was in the office.
Okay.
So that made it, and I had a really supportive team.
That's
Really supportive
awesome.
team. Microsoft Leap was really supportive. The first 3 weeks of the program is all about, learning about Microsoft, building projects in C#, but in clean, test-driven development principles,
Mm-hmm.
learning about Microsoft's mission, learning how to use all the tools. So they kind of, before we're on our actual teams, they kind of prep us,
Okay. That's
about, the
awesome.
culture. So yeah, and then when I joined my team, there were about 5 of us on my whole team. I was the only apprentice on that team, but I joined Azure Sphere, which is a Linux-based OS on a microcontroller device.
Okay.
So this is the microcontroller.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. It was an embedded systems team. It was really cool. It was all about making, IoT devices, making
Mm,
regular devices smarter.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it was a huge jump from Python doing all C low level programming.
Wow. So you had never touched C before, so you kind of had to learn on the job. Wow.
So yeah, so they provided me with resources. I got a mentor, and then I had a very supportive team. Um, and they gave me I had the book and I did tutorials, like I did CS50 Harvard's course.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was basically, they gave me projects here and there. I did do some Python coding because their tests were all written in Python.
Mm-hmm.
But they would make a project for me to do, like I was basically building like sample applications for the microcontroller so that when people got it, they can, test it out, see how the LEDs worked, and try different things on it. It was really great.
Awesome.
I loved it.
That's really awesome. So, okay, so this was 6 weeks. How long was this program?
It was supposed to be 13 weeks, but because of COVID and the situation, a lot of us ended up getting extended a few times.
Okay.
So I got extended twice. So I think my whole apprenticeship was probably 8 months,
Okay.
because mine was very unique. So I didn't end up on the team that I started with. First, I was on that team, and then I was on another team for a month, which is a long story. And then I ended up because I got an offer from another team.
Okay.
Right when I was on the new team for a month, and I was only a apprentice on that second team again. So literally on my second day on this new team, I got an offer from the team that I'm on now for a full-time role.
Oh, that's awesome. And what team are you on right now? Like, what are you working on day to day?
Okay, so I've been on my new team for about 7 weeks now, and as a full-time software engineer. And it's called the Iris team. So basically how we work, we're artificial intelligence type of team. So let me try to go through the spiel.
It's okay, yeah.
So we're basically Microsoft's customer engagement and personalization system. So for example, I'm trying to figure out. So one of the things that we do is that we run campaigns across all of Microsoft products. So that can be Azure, Xbox, Bing, Microsoft Store, Windows, Office. So if you have a Windows computer, on the homepage, you'll see like suggestions. And that's my team. Or if you go to the start menu on your Windows computer, there's also a suggestion there. And then on Xbox, we power 97% of Xbox's homepage. And so basically, when someone plays a game, we basically recommend other games to them that's similar to that game. So you basically leverage customer data, and personalize it for their experience. I feel so fortunate. Like, I just have the best team, the best manager. It's a really diverse team. My manager is like so supportive, and they're all about like, learning things well, and taking time off if you have to.
Now it's time for the juicy questions where you can give us some lessons, some tips if we're transitioning into tech and we want to break into tech without having a CS degree, without going to a boot camp. If you could redo your entire story again back in after you graduated from college, what would you have done?
Okay, so that's an interesting question because you just said without a boot camp.
Yeah. Would you have done a boot camp? Is that what you're saying? You would have done a boot camp?
That's one of the things.
Wow.
Okay, so wait, here's the things. So if I had to have started again, I would have managed my expectations a lot more. So I felt like what really hurt me was being defeated within my first 3 months of job hunting and still learning algorithms. I would tell people to give it at least a year.
Okay.
Learning how to code, learning it well, learning algorithms, building projects, applying for jobs, even a year of applying for jobs before they want to throw in the towel, or before they want to lose all faith. But I feel like if we were to talk about opportunity cost and how long it took me to get a job, I would have done one of those boot camps that I would still do Recurse Center afterwards in my future, but one that what do you call it? Like App Academy?
Yeah, Grace Hopper, like the ones you don't have to pay for, like until you get a job. Those
Yeah,
ones?
so
Yeah.
take a piece of gallery. I probably would have done that if I could get in, because
Yeah.
their acceptance rate is like 3 or 5%.
Yeah.
Or I would have done, this is controversial, but everyone needs to, okay, so I would have done maybe Revature or FDM group.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm saying correctly, but I've heard a lot of negative things about it because they don't really pay that well, I heard.
That's the thing. That's the thing. If you were to think long term, if you were to, they pay about 50,000 a year and they contract you out. So my friend, he did it. He's at Walt Disney right now, and he did Revature. And it's basically, for those who don't know, it's basically a program or a company that trains you for 3 months, kind of like a boot camp, and then they contract you out into a bondage contract
Wow, that
for
sounds so sketchy. Okay.
a bondage contract for 2 years, and some people get out of it sooner. I mean, if you get your first year of experience, and then if I think the fee that you have to pay is 20K if you leave, but there's ways to get around that. I mean, I don't know, but if you start out at 50K and you find a job that pays, you know how tech is. Tech can pay over 100K. It's up to you to decide. And there's other YouTubers on YouTube who talk about their experience with FDM group. FDM is mostly in New York.
Okay.
And they'll send you out to like JP Morgan, like mostly finance driven companies like HSNBC and that sort of thing. But I mean, just knowing everything that I've been through, I feel like maybe for me, I would have done that.
Okay.
But, I definitely urge people to, keep their expectations not too high.
So, would you have done a CS degree? Would you have done that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to take away my college career because I studied abroad twice.
Yeah.
And that was in Japan and Cuba. And then I had a great social experience too. So
yeah.
It probably would have been really intense.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like the whole experience afterwards, there's so many different avenues. Sure, you could do CS, but I don't think I had it in me to take those physics classes and the other classes necessary for computer science. I thought about it now. I thought about taking different classes that are necessary that would help me for my future career. And definitely, I feel like, okay, if I have to be completely honest, probably a CS degree is the most ideal.
Like another thing I'm getting from your story too, the whole myth of like it only takes 3 months, learn to code. Okay, the whole myth that's like learn to code and you automatically get a job. That's not true. I think it's not true.
It's not true, but there have been, especially in the golden years of boot camps, like 2015 and earlier. That was a lot more likely, That's where a lot of the stories come from too. And even till today, people still go to boot camps and get a job in 3 months or a few months after that. But some of it is location. Some people are stronger than others. Some people have stronger degrees than others. And just, even people's resumes, not all resumes are equal too. And not all experience is equal too. So your job market is one. I was in New York City, which is the most competitive market ever.
Yeah, it's really competitive.
Everyone wants to work in New York City. I was applying with not just the country, but the world, basically. So that's one of my reasons. Yeah.
So you wouldn't choose the self-taught route?
Personally, for me, I wouldn't do self-taught just from my experience, because I feel like some of the boot camps, they had stronger projects than I did coming out of a boot camp. They had complete full stack applications. Even one company that I interviewed with, they were like, yeah, we would have considered you more if you had done a boot camp, because you get to work on a team and you kind of learn the development process, the whole Scrum process, use Jira and that sort of thing. So, but it's up to the individual to decide too. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's like an individual decision, but it's also good to get other people's like perspectives on transitioning into tech. That's like very, very important. Okay, let's say you did have to do the self-taught path again.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do differently to make sure that you got a job a little bit quickly, a little bit faster? Like what things would you have changed in like what you specifically learned? Like basically you could give us like
Yeah,
a roadmap.
I would have taken the 3 month thing out of my mind and really
Okay.
sat down and learned how to do full stack applications, front end and back end. I feel like it's a lot easier when you're doing JavaScript front end and back end work instead of Python, which is popular, which is it's possible with Python. You know, you can do Django. I think that's it. Django and Flask front end. I would have built. People wanted to see my work, and most of my work was kind of just like a back end application,
Mm-hmm.
and those projects. And I feel like building 2 to 3 strong projects that you can talk through and walk people through is like amazing. Like
Mm-hmm.
people love that. People love to see you built an entire website that is useful for people, not just a static front end page, but a full front end and back end site. And also continuing to go to meetups, networking with people. Blogging helps too. I did a lot of blogging in my time that helped. Um, and, you know, just to know that no one's just going to hire you. I just thought people were just going to hire me because it's a shortage in tech. But no, you have to provide value. You know, people have to, these companies have to see some type of value in you. And I would say keep at it because even though it takes a while, there's not that many fields that you can self teach and make a 6 figure salary.
I think
Yeah.
your story is like the power of persistence and being like really hardworking and being like focused because you could have given up at any point. And that's like the
Yeah.
thing a lot of people do because I feel like a lot of people might not be willing to fight for like such a long time through like dealing with
Yeah.
like a chronic illness and all these things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You still push forward, which is really amazing. Yeah. That's like a lot of resilience, you know, a lot of people would not do that. So like why didn't you want to give up? Why what made you want to keep going?
Um, well, knowing that it's possible and that there's just so much opportunity here, there's no way that you can tell me if I didn't keep going, I wouldn't get a tech job. Because I
Mm,
see people get it each and every day. Most people that I know went non-traditional. Most people I know in tech are non-traditional. And also, it was the only career that I saw myself in. Like my family wanted me to do some type of path into medical stuff, but I wanted to. I'm just like, no, I wanna. I wanna help people. I want to do cybersecurity. I want to work in tech, the tech industry, and build things. So
yeah, like you this was just like your dream, you know what I mean? And you didn't see yourself doing
mm-hmm.
anything else, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you were willing to like keep going because you knew you like had a lot of faith that you would end up with a job. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I felt like you had a lot of great advice, and it was also good to hear about your entire journey. And I like you're amazing. Microsoft software engineer, like, hey,
Yep.
that like you're doing awesome. Where can people find you? Maybe you can tell us about like your Instagram and your YouTube, because that's another place where you're sharing like a lot of your wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a YouTube channel. If you use the search bar, Colorful Codes, that's my YouTube channel. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at Colorful Codes, Instagram, Colorful Codes, and finally, my Gmail is codescolorful@gmail.com.
Thank you so much for being on this channel. I'm going to leave a link down below for all of Jhilene's contacts information and her YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for watching.